everyone. I'm Chang Minju from Sejong City. We have Mr. Kim Man-sik from the National Institute of Standards of Technology and Mr. Jo Young-tae from RH, and we have Mr. Chung Sung-hyun, senior researcher of BSI. First of all, this question goes to Mr. Chung. You are working at BSI, right, as a senior researcher, and you have visited various cities, including Sejong. And as I know, but you have assessed the majority of those smart cities. So what would be the vision of a global city, and what would be the value? Regarding the smart city vision of BSI, let me explain this. Regarding the vision first, it is very clear. For sustainable development of a city, the city should enhance its capacity. That would be the direction of BSI's standardization. And based on the capacity of the city will be able to realize its vision or deal with the challenges facing the city. The BSI for the past 100 years has produced different types of standards, and annually it generates about 2,500 global standards. So far, we have standards. We have produced standards for mainly the companies for their security and for their safety. However, starting from about 5 years ago, we have been focused on the cities because the city is very critical for our life, and the cities have many dangerous factors there. And what is the most urgent in terms of standardization is now we are still experiencing the difficulties caused by COVID-19. Then what about the resilience of the cities? How we can enhance the resilience of the cities? Now we are focusing on this topic. So we have BS 67,000 standard, and last year to secure a safe workplace during the COVID-19. We focused on the standard process, and of course, we generated the required standards. So this way, you should be able to build a city which is safer for its citizens. Thank you.
So our Sejong City also get the certification from we also get the audit from the BSI. So I understand this international certification status internationally. What about the domestic situation? Maybe Mr. Kim Han-sik can deal with it.
First, I think we should see the global status first. Globally, the standardization of smart city, ISO, ICU, and one or more international organization for the international standardization and AI, smart health mobility. These are the smart city services. To develop these services, each international organization and is working on that together with other relevant agencies. Reference architecture and common technology and operation of smart cities. For this, we need kind of massive standard and a macro standard. However, regarding this macro standard, they need to divide the specific roles of each different agent. And this, I think the same goes for here in Korea as well. The vertical standardization has been done by the relevant industry and relevant organization. However, in terms of the macro standards, it is not an easy part that the private sector can make an approach. This is still early stage in Korea. We are now developing these kind of standards.
So I understand that the micro perspective, the standardization has been discussed so far, but in terms of the macro perspective, we need to also talk about the international standardization about smart city. And LH is the one which is leading the smart city development. So I believe that the exporting smart city is just around the corner. And in that sense, let me ask a question about the how we can present the smart city meetings for those Indonesia, such as relocating the capital city. So as you said, that LH is the one leading the smart city in terms of development, and also the intelligent service facilities and communication network and operation facilities are the ones that we build and operate. Based on these experiences, we can export smart city model in the cooperation as well. And the Korean smart city has a certain characteristics. We are doing the integratedly and also integrally build the all those the smart city the infrastructure, and also this was has been very visible in terms of a implemented services. So we can provide this model to other countries. In particular, Indonesia. I think Indonesia needs to benchmark the examples of Korea. So Indonesia is now trying to relocate its capital city from Jakarta to other region. Maybe for that city, I believe that Sejong will be a prime example. Since 2006, we've been working on this relocation of smart city for 15 years. So we have been building this kind of exemplary model for not just for Korea but also for countries around the world. And they some of the experiences that the advanced countries have never experienced is can be found in Sejong City. So the Indonesia choose Korea. In that case, they enjoy better the examples and then benefits. And the national pilot city that we proceeded with is the new challenges and attempts for at the national level. So here in this Sejong City, the national level, the smart city, it can be verified, and then later this the entire the demonstration can be exported, or spread to other cities in Korea. I believe this can be also exported to Indonesia, and the location of the capital city, which has a the good benchmarking of this smart city, will be very effective for the country like Indonesia. Yes. So Sejong City could be a successful example of the relocation of the administrative capital, and also it is a leading example in terms of standardization in smart city. So National Palace City project started with the site selection last year, and we are seeking the uh, SPC, which will lead the project. So what will be the kind of the policy example for that?
I think this is a very difficult question. From my perspective, standards for to make a successfully build a smart city, interoperability, scalability, and top-down approach. These are important. We should apply this, spread this in our applications to the smart cities, because basically, when it comes to the smart city, we need to provide the solutions to meet the needs of citizens. And by utilizing these different approaches, I think that we will be able to eliminate the barriers, technology barriers in the future, and to create the values by end users, and they will be able to be actively participating. So sustainable ecosystem, I mean, should be created by private sectors by making all the stakeholders actively participate in the process. We will be able to make produce models, and we should be able to figure out difficulties and or any redundancy. and even the technical requirements for future integration. Thank you very much. So, to build a national policy, he mentioned that we should reflect and consider those suggestions for standardization of smart city. Mr. Chung, Sejong City.
So the Sejong City acquired the world's first smart city international certification from the ISO 37106, and hosted by, and also um, it was hosted by the British Standard Association. So I remember what that happened in during that process. It was really difficult. So thinking that, do you have any advice or strategies for Sejong City to move to the next level 5? So Sejong City certified level 3 in 2018, and last year it was upgraded to level 4. So I understand that the manager Zhang also made the most effort in that certification requirement, and acquiring that certification is just halfway. You need to also maintain your excellence as well. So not just the technological element, but also the administrative elements. I see that there are certain advances in terms of the management of the technologies. Anyhow, I could see that there is a smart city division available in the Sejong City government, and also there is an internal governance has been well established under the ordinance of the city, and also smart city integrated control system has been in place. So smart city related projects can be monitored through this kind of governance. I think that's a big step in terms of progress. So smart city division started to take a bigger role in terms of control tower of smart city projects. It's been just more than 6 months since I monitor what is happening in the Sejong City. So under the control tower at Sejong City, all the projects of the smart city should be managed, and all these projects will be involved in the 7 major smart city tasks: mobility, energy, environment, shopping, culture. All these related the projects should be managed under the control tower, I believe. Further, I see certain common weak point from the cities that I audited. So in the mid and long-term project, smart city projects should be established. So in terms of mid and long-term perspective and planning, the citizen benefiting quantitative target index should be established. So our citizens, should have certain benefits from the smart city. So in order to know that, we need to have a kind of a quantitative index and figures as a target should be set. And secondly, in terms of the smart city project, I need to talk about this because what about the criteria or the criteria, whether you decide this smart project is successful or not, in terms of a citizen benefits perspective. Due to this, I believe that Sejong City received a lower score. So if you fulfill all of these areas, the Sejong City can be upgraded to the level 5. One more thing I'd like to add is that the private leading smart city, that's the target you need to have. And for that, we have SBC and also private companies, and also Sejong City will be working together. So we need to have a optimized governance model in which the private sector and public sector work together. That kind of balance should be achieved for the level 5 Sejong City.
Regarding the BS certifications, there are many cities who they are interested in. I think your advice will be very helpful in that regard. Thank you very much for your comment. The philosopher, German philosopher Goethe said that Humans are traveling for travel, not to reach to some destination. It is not just about building a smart city. This is a long journey. This will be a long journey to make the lives of citizens happier using IT or advanced technologies. So that's why we need to consider standardization. That is why today's discussion is very meaningful. Based on what we are discussing today, we'll be able to make a further progress. Thank you very much for your great comments and opinions. Now we are going to wrap up the session G of 2021 Sejong Smart City. Thank you very much.